to have you along, my fellow tech enthusiasts. I'm Sam, he's Jay, and of course we're talking tech because this is Tech Watch, brought to you by Network Providers, Inc. Yes, indeed, you've got a partner when it comes to tech. Would love to be your partner. NASA turns gateway technology towards building a permanent presence on the moon, Jay.
Yes, sir. Northrop Grumman plans
Yeah.
to repurpose technology developed for the Gateway Lunar Station for 3 service demonstration missions focused on power, thermal management, and other infrastructure needed for sustained operations on the moon.
Can I just laugh at them?
You can. Absolutely.
Okay, what the heck are they talking about, man? What space station?
Yeah, I don't know, but I know
Okay,
that.
and where is this space station? It's like way closer to the Earth than the moon, buddy.
You're talking about ISS?
I don't know what they're talking about.
The
just
problem,
saying,
I think, with
what
all of
station
that,
are we talking about, though, Jay?
well,
They didn't even say, right?
the Gateway Lunar Station. I guess one they're going to build. I don't think it's one that already exists.
Okay, where are they going to build it? Where's it going to be? How long is it going to take?
Moon.
I mean, we were talking about going back to the moon. We haven't even done that yet, Jay.
Well, they flew around it recently, if you remember that.
I guess so. I don't really know. It's kind of weird.
They
And
sent
anyway.
pictures and stuff, Sam. Come on.
Okay. There's no such thing as deep fakes, I guess.
Well, I have heard of that. We do have AI nowadays, so that is
Yeah.
possible.
It's interesting, though. They decided to go back to the moon after AI comes out and deep fakes are possible. But anyway, I'm not here to debate it. I'm just saying they're so vague on this. This just seems like even if they are going to build this station and everything else, I mean, how long is it going to really take to where that's real? Is it a 10-year plan, 15-year plan? I mean, is Elon Musk involved? What are the deets on this thing? And I don't think they've really given a lot of deets.
I'm sure he would like to be, but I think the biggest thing is there's got to be a financial gain. Like you look at the frontier and the Old West and people heading out and colonizing and doing stuff. There was real reason. Like there's gold and there's land and there's all these cattle and real things.
There's whiskey, women, and gold out there. Hey, you're
That's
going.
right. And who can turn that down? But what are you going to do out in the moon? Like I don't know. Even Mars, colonizing Mars. There's got to be a financial.
You're right about
for that to taste.
And I don't
to take
drink
that
whiskey,
kind of
and I don't need
expense.
women. I already got one, and I don't need a bunch of gold. I'd rather have
Right.
tech than gold. Just saying.
Well, it
anyway,
takes a lot of gold to have tech. I'll tell you that.
But what's interesting to me is why don't we, instead of really trying to go to the moon and to Mars and all that, why don't we search more of our oceans, Jay? Believe it or not, we know very little in real knowledge about our oceans and stuff.
That's true. I'm is an equal opportunity. I like going both ways, but it takes a lot of money to make that happen. That's why, again, I say unless they can.
You think it takes more money to probe the oceans or go to Mars?
Definitely to go to even the moon, let alone Mars. It takes more money, I think.
So I'm just saying, I really would like to learn more about where I live than I would to,
I mean, you could
just
build your
go-
own submarine and go explore the ocean, right?
I cannot. No, sir. I wish I
Come on.
could. That'd be
So
pretty
I
sweet.
think that personally, I think if Sam put his mind to it, he could definitely make this happen. I don't think it's a hobby of his necessarily, but yeah, you could.
It is true that if Sam put his mind to it, there's quite a bit possible.
I've seen guys that do this, build their own submarines.
Oh, yeah,
and
if I
they
had
go
the
into-
money, I'd be doing stuff like that. I just don't have the money, so I can't even dream of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well,
But
I mean on a low budget.
I would build all kind of cool stuff is what I'd do.
You already do, Sam. Software.
I'd be like the guy that's, what do they call that? Secondhand Lions. Have you seen that movie?
No, I've heard of it, but I'm never.
All right,
I'm not
I'd be
seeing
the
it yet.
guy. I'd be the old dude
No
flying my
spoilers.
plane. Just saying. Ordinary cell phones, Jay.
Yep, are getting a big connection to space. So, SpaceX has launched AST SpaceMobile's Bluebird 11, 12, and 13 satellites on August 5th, expanding the constellation designed to provide cellular broadband directly from satellites to ordinary mobile devices. Now, recently, Elon has
Jay.
come out. Go ahead.
If they have satellite connectivity, they're not ordinary.
Well, that's a good point.
So we're turning ordinary phones into extraordinary phones is what we're doing, Jay.
Yeah. Well, and all the phones have this capability now.
Right.
And this is amazing. Actually, this is actually kind
It's
of
extraordinary.
interesting.
I'm not trying to play games. I'm trying to get people to understand this is really something.
Elon Musk is going to do to cellular, to the big three in cellular. That's AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon. What he's doing right now to broadband, to people like Comcast and Cox. And
He is, but right now, instead of taking them over, what he could do is launch competing products and take them over and supplant them, replace them I don't know what you want to call it, leapfrog them. But so far what he's been doing is partnering with them, Jay.
That's true, and I think that's the step out there. And it's going to have its own pros and cons, right? Because you're not going to be able to really use it in a building unless you have Wi-Fi and you're doing, over Wi-Fi, or you got a repeater or femtocell kind of thing, or
Yeah,
something
but if
like that.
I use Wi-Fi and then the satellite, do I need a cell tower?
No, you don't. That's the thing. You don't need a cell tower. And not only that, this has global coverage. You can be out in the ocean. You can be on, top of a mountain.
You can't be in your submarine, though. It won't work underwater that far.
Well, unless you surface, right, and you have an antenna or you get up on top of it. But imagine global cellular service, and not like Iridium, not like $3 a minute cellular, but a normal plan, unlimited data and talk, text, and everything. And I think it's revolutionary.
Amen. I agree. That's why I was joking about the ordinary part of it, because it was like, no, this is far from ordinary. This is way cool, and it's going to change the world as we know it. I'm telling you, it's the next leap in communications, because when you start doing data that way, pretty soon places that never had data instantly become online, Jay.
That's right. And you take, especially with a partnership with other local terrestrial cell phone carriers, you're going to have the best of both worlds. You're going to be able to have connectivity when you're anywhere with just your handheld device, and you're going to have good connectivity in the city, in a subway, in an office building, whatever, at the same time. And, I think it's going to be extraordinary. And it's also going to bring competition into that market. You have these big three. You do have MVNOs or whatever, the mobile carriers that are reselling and stuff like Visible and all these others, but in Mint and some of those. But this is going to bring a whole nother dynamic to mobile. And I hope it's going to help bring costs down and prices down for the consumer.
My only comment, bring it.
Yeah,
Let's
absolutely.
do it. Now partner this with Amazon's new driverless taxis, Jay.
Yeah, Amazon driverless taxis are becoming a real business. In August 10th, Amazon's own Zoox plans to bring charging passengers for autonomous rides in Las Vegas on August 10th. So they're moving to purpose-built. That's right.
From when we're recording this. When people start watching this episode and everything, it'll be literally happening.
Exactly.
So do you want to go to Vegas with me and get in one of these? I took a Waymo in Vegas.
Vegas is a long way from here. It's a long drive. And if one of those taxis will pick me up, then yeah, absolutely.
No, you just got to fly. How about satellite travel? Maybe you can, there's got to be a way.
We'll see. We'll have to see, Sam.
Teleport. Anyway, all I'm telling you is it's interesting, though, that everybody's starting to get involved in this. You got the Waymos. Those are the ones that are the normal cars with steering wheels. Then you got that other one we talked about a couple of weeks ago or a week or so ago that was the new ones that don't have steering wheels. What are those called?
That's these. That's the Zoox. That's the ones where you face each other. You're in this little, there's no driver at all. There's no steering wheel.
Yeah, so those are coming to a city near you pretty soon, folks. And, I really hope, again, when you talked about decreasing the cost of cell service and stuff, I really hope this decreased the cost of rides, because right now, you've had taxis and they had those medallions, and so it was really expensive to be a taxi driver. Therefore, they had to pass the cost on to everybody. Then you had the Ubers and the what's the other one that people use?
Waymo.
Yeah. Well, Waymo's a car, but what's the other one? Lyft. Yeah.
Lyft. Yeah.
Thank you, producer. Zach, great job. Lyft. And then you had those which were drivers that didn't have medallions, so it was a lot cheaper, and everybody wanted to, kind of moonlight or whatever you want to call it. What do they call that when you work in the digital age?
Yeah, a gig economy, right?
Gig, yeah. Okay, and so then it was a lot cheaper. And now if you have driverless vehicles, it should get even cheaper, Jay. However, when I took a Waymo, it wasn't cheaper. And oftentimes the Waymos were more expensive. And I don't know if it was just a novelty that'll wear off. But eventually I hope with driverless vehicles it gets cheaper.
Well, and I don't know if they do this on purpose. It seems like they do. But they get into a market, they undercut regular taxi service and stuff like that. Once they get a foothold, though, this is the Cory Doctorow in crapification kind of thing. They start raising prices. They push people out. You have other issues and problems with this, and it doesn't seem quite fair, right? It doesn't always bring a lower price if you do it that way. And I don't know if that's just because you're a publicly traded company, and so you're always pushing for the next quarter profits, but it doesn't always match the promise that is sold initially.
Amen. But here's what I will say. At some point, if you're going to get us out of our cars, when cars are $50,000 for the average new car now, I've never even spent more than $20,000 on a car in my entire life, by the way.
Right.
And so I'm just saying that, if you're going to get us out of our cars, though, you're going to have to make that cost a lot cheaper. I mean,
I don't know that everybody wants to get out of their
5
cars.
blocks, and it's $12, $13 just to go 3 blocks. I'm just not doing that, for all kinds of travel, right?
And yeah, the other big problem that they're having right now, and there's congressional hearings about this, is the on-demand, the surge pricing they call it, where
Yes.
you're looking at people's browsing history and their socioeconomic class and charging people different rates based on this and where they're going.
Yeah, and so if I check 3 carriers, I check a Lyft and a Uber and a Waymo and a, what's this one called? Zeus?
Yeah, Zoox, Zoox.
And I try those.
I don't know if that's
and then
exactly how
I
they say it.
decide that Uber's the cheapest. Then I go back to Uber. The price is up.
Well, not
It's
only that,
changed.
but you might have a higher or lower price, and then I check the same exact route from the same place at the same time, and because of my browsing history or something else, or because whatever, they give me a lower or a higher price.
They're going to give you a higher price because they say Jay's richer than Sam. We can tell that right off, and so Jay's going to pay more than Sam.
Yeah.
No, there's all kinds of algorithms that manipulate this to the point where at some point it becomes price fixing, Jay.
I agree. And a lot of people are calling no fair on that. Even Walmart's getting into this and stuff, where these on-demand pricing, surge pricing, whatever
I
you
think
want
it's
to call
just
it.
greedy. That's what I think.
Well, it kind of looks a little bit like people say, when there's a hurricane, does plywood go up like dramatically?
Yeah, does
people
water go astronomical?
Yeah, people call that price gouging. They call it, usurpation and stuff of people. And are they doing this just on the micro level all the time with everybody? Because the goal is, right, to find what's the maximum price that you,
Yep.
Sam Bushman, will pay. What's the maximum price?
And companies
Jay
do that
Harrison
with
will pay?
software too. Instead of telling you the price of their software, they're like, we want to meet with you, and they're like, hey, what's your yearly revenue, and what's your this, and what's your
Yeah.
that, and then pretty soon they're like, hey, for you the software costs this.
I don't
have
deal
a
with
problem
companies
with
like
that
that
too. I agree. I don't like that.
I just, when I hear that, I'm not sold on it. Like, I'm completely off, and I turned down companies just because of that kind of pricing. Where
I
they're like,
agree,
we don't really
100%.
have a price.
It's kind of like you walk in and it's like, how much does this steak cost? And they're like, well, it depends on how much you like steak. How much
Yeah.
are you jonesing for a steak, buddy? We'll
Let me
find
go through your
out.
wallet first, and I'll tell you how much it costs.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. And so I think that you just need to look, whatever your product is, find a realistic margin to where you can run your business successfully and profitably and call it good. But that's just how I work, right?
That's what you
I'm
should be
obviously
doing.
kind of stupid. Well, how about a $9 billion evaluation? We're talking about Chinese robots. We'll talk about it more in seconds. He's Jay, I'm Sam, you're you, and we're talking tech. This is Tech Watch. The Chinese company is called Unitree, and they priced their Shanghai IPO in yuans or whatever, and it turns out to be like $9 billion for their kind of initial thing as AI and robotics and everything takes off. This is a robotics company that does like humanoid kind of robots and stuff. They call it humanoid robots. And so, Jay, they believe that this is like going to happen. You and I have been talking about robots being a long way off, and I really think they still are.
Right.
But, man, these people think they're right around the corner, buddy.
Doesn't matter. Trash it. You can't. I mean, throw the story away. You can't buy any Chinese robots, Sam. The government
That's
said so.
because Donald said no.
I know. What
do you think of that?
I don't know. I see both sides of it. I mean, on one hand, I understand why he's saying it. But on the other hand, I think it's
Hold
kind
on,
of
we get everything from those guys. They're our most favored nation trading partner.
yeah, right. We get everything from them. But
So why
I
not
think
robots? If I can get a phone from them or I can get a this from them, why not a robot? I mean, come on.
Because I think that he's afraid that there'll be a bunch of soldiers in the United States, basically, if they can, take over or control them. And he's possibly right. I don't know. But, it's sad, though, because we can't share tech like we should be, collaborating on this stuff and making cool things and making the world and lives better for people.
Yeah, if we could just trust people, and if we could just, that's kind of the whole password dilemma and the AI bots going crazy and everything too. If we could just trust the tech and trust each other, we'd be in good shape.
I know it, but we can't.
Can't.
So what do we
and
do? I
won't,
guess we're gonna have
and
to rely. We need to get busy in the U.S. I guess and make our own robots.
That's a great idea. Problem is, we can't even make a ham sandwich, much less a robot. I'm just kidding. I mean, it's a little bit extreme, but we don't make anything hardly is the problem. And the real problem is that the infrastructure, the raw materials and the infrastructure is not there for us to make things really, Jay, either.
That's a good point.
And that's all our, government leaders and everything else has outsourced everything to make that possible. They've kind of done us dirty, really.
Yeah, I like the idea of these robots. I think they're very cool.
Me too.
Everything from the Osmo to the Optimus to all these different things. I kind of say bring it on. I almost think
Here's
it's
the
too
deal. All my
premature.
kids have grown up, and so I don't have kids to do chores anymore. So I need robots now, Jay. Come on.
As we age in the technology. But I almost think it's kind of premature to just say, oh, none of it at all. I could see now if there had been an incident or problems, and maybe I'm sure he's got access to more information than I do. So maybe there is problems.
Well, and it also
that we already
depends
know.
on what the robots are. Like, can I buy a lawnmower robot and a vacuum robot, but I can't buy a robot to do my dishes? I mean, where do we draw the line, too?
I don't know. I think that it's humanoid robots that they're kind of banning, but because where can you buy a lawnmower that's not has components made in China, right? A
Right,
robot
that's what I
lawnmower.
mean. And so I'm just saying I don't even know what a humanoid robot means necessarily. It's in the physical form factor of a human.
I don't know, but there's another
Because
whole
it
side of
walks
this.
like a duck and talks like a duck. I'm just saying.
There's another side of this that we're not really touching on for a lot of reasons, but the companion robot kind of sector, which is like,
Yeah, I got an AI girlfriend. Not. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of people doing that kind of stuff now. And so then the question becomes, and then you get into dolls, and then you get into robots, then you get into robot dolls, and then you get into robot doll girlfriends, and then it just goes like all psychotic, right? And you're
Right.
like,
It
okay,
kinda goes
whoa,
off the
hold
rails.
on now.
I
That's not
think
what we
that
want to be
maybe
talking
there's
about. But you're right, though.
some
That
of
is
that.
the question: is when does it become that, right?
Right.
And if it washes dishes, I mean, can it make your dinner?
Can make a sandwich.
And if it can make a sandwich and wash your dishes, can it sit down across the table from you and have a conversation about your day?
Probably.
Anyway, so that's the entry point that becomes concerning. And I understand
ChatGPT
what
can do
President
it.
Trump is saying. The question becomes, are we going to ban them forever? Or are we going to ban them until we get a framework in place to accept them? Or are we going to say we can have an American robot but not a Chinese one? And
Are we going to have a certification program that says, hey, we vetted this. Yeah. We know that it's good. Like UL, Underwriters Laboratory, that says, hey, these are okay.
These robots are safe.
Yeah.
And then how do we know if they're
all
really
that's going to
safe?
do is add to the cost, though, really.
Yeah, and they're already like 30 or 40 grand for a real one these days. So pretty soon they'll be like 80 grand. You can get a Cybertruck or a robot. Which you getting, Jay?
Probably Cybertruck. I like those.
All right, there you go. No dishes done for you, my friend.
Now I'll do my own
But
dishes.
you can look cool when you drive around.
That's right.
All right, Google wants a $15 billion AI data center, Jay.
Doesn't everybody? I want one myself.
Yeah, I want one too. That's what I was thinking. So what's the deal, though? They planned for this thing, though. Really, it's not just talk for them, right?
It's becoming a big part of the AI debate. They're planning a $15 billion AI infrastructure project in India. So I guess they're trying to bypass the problems in America with that. Yeah. And they're facing scrutiny over water requirements and environmental effects.
Same things that we are, you mean, Jay?
Power usage. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Highlighting the
you
enormous
know what
physical
you do to
resources.
solve it, Jay, don't you?
Well, the first thing people say is, I heard that actually today. I heard this. Somebody said, "Why don't they just put solar panels on top of these AI data centers?" And I was like, "Well, that would work maybe during the daytime, but there's a
you cannot produce enough solar power for the kind of suck power these things are going to need. You're
these things are like the opposite of a power plant. You have a power plant over here that's making 10 megawatts. These things are using 10 megawatts.
They're using more than that even.
Yeah.
But what about this, though? Take it all underground, though. The next headline says nuclear power goes underground. And they say it's the way of a nuclear reactor. What, a mile down below ground and stuff? They're trying to put these things?
Yeah, the Department of Energy approved a nuclear safety design agreement for its deep fission gravity reactor, an unconventional small modular reactor concept that's designed to operate roughly 1 mile underground. I think that isn't necessarily so much for heat issues or anything, although there's probably some geothermal, like where you could do heat dissipation and also heat generation. I think that's more for safety, though. I think that's hey, if this thing goes critical or it becomes unstable,
I think it's all the above.
It's a mile under the ground. So,
yeah, I think it's all the above, but I'm thinking they could give me one of those, Jay.
Yeah. Well, people have talked about small nuclear
yeah, because then I could just crank that up, and then my computers will heat my house in the winter and everything, buddy.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty sweet.
Now, I don't know why they don't do data centers, though, in like Iceland or Greenland or Canada, where you have
you got to be able to work a deal out to get Iceland first or Greenland or whatever.
They're working on that, Sam. They're working on that.
Anyway, I just find it very strange, though, and I think it's a cool concept, though. I do believe nuclear. I believe it has, over the last 10, 20, 30, 40 years, become much, much, much more safe and appropriately delivered in small reactors and things. I think we could do really well with it. And I think it's really the only future forward, Jay. Personally, that's my opinion.
Well, and I guess the counter to that is that people would say is, well, what about the nuclear waste? What about spent, depleted uranium?
And we're going to have to work on that, but I'm just telling you that I don't see any way forward if we're going to deal with the kind of power we're expecting from our cars and from our data centers and from everything else. I don't think there's any other technology that can produce enough for our needs. And so are we going to have to work on resolving that? Absolutely. But in the meantime, it's either that or just keep cranking up oil and coal and everything else to the masses and, toxic environment and everything else. So which toxins do you want? Unless we're going to back off and not use all this power.
Well, I think that there's a multi-pronged approach to it.
It's already out of the bag, right, Jay? It's already out of the barn. We are.
Oh, yeah, it is. The cow's out of the barn. But the one of the approaches that I think that a lot of people miss, and it's the same thing in software. We talk about it all the time, the bloatware in software. We have a bloatware in energy consumption as well. And I think there's a lot of ways we can make things more efficient that we just we're not really doing, because when energy is really cheap, it's just like, who cares, Just like when hard drives are really cheap, you're like, I don't care, my program integrates a 2 gigabyte library. It doesn't matter. It just runs. It does what I need it to do. So
right.
There's some
it's all true.
Progress can be made in that area, I think.
But they got an advanced nuclear test going on. Tell me about this one, Jay, because this is interesting and relates.
Yeah, Oklo's new nuclear reactor that has reached criticality. They have their Groves isotope test reactor. Say that 5 times fast.
Isotope test reactor
has achieved first criticality, meaning that it is established sustained nuclear chain reaction, which is an important technical milestone for the company that's developing advanced nuclear technology. So
they're saying it's viable,
good news,
right?
Yeah, it's
and
happening.
then viable to translate to the real world. So the technology is viable. Putting it in the real world is the next step. That might take a while.
Yeah, and that's the kind of the issue with some of the stories that are just like, hey, we're doing this thing, and it's like, okay, but I'd rather focus on the real world applications of it, and not just like covering like, hey, we're making it's like quantum computing. We're making progress on that, but
Well, tell me about this fusion, then we'll talk about a little recorder if we have time.
Okay, so Fusion Energy pulls in another $1 billion. The Commonwealth Fusion Systems has raised another $1 billion, described in supplied reporting as the world's largest fusion financing round since the company's owned $1.8 billion Series B. They did that in 2021, but again, is fusion vaporware? I don't know. We'll find out.
Time will tell. We'll keep an eye on that ball just for you. And this recorder we're talking about is created by Claude, and it's a little teeny recorder that you can buy for about $190, and it can record all your meetings and transcribe them and summarize them and do all kind of cool things. We'll get to that next episode. How's that? Thanks for being along. TechWatch Radio is brought to you by TechWatch TV by NetworkProvidersInc.com, NPITechGuys.com. Make it a great tech day. Thanks.